Hello. Good
Good morning.
morning.
After that intro, I'm all pumped up now. I'm ready to go.
Let's go to space.
I'm all inspired.
I think
Let's
we should
go.
go to space. Space.
Space.
Yes, that's totally a spacey type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. So
Star Trek Enterprise
Star Trek.
revisited.
Yes. So good morning, everyone who's joined us today. It's good to see y'all. Y'all. Do you say y'all?
Y'all.
Do you say y'all?
Y'all, you know.
Y'all.
Yeah, but there's a y'all. I mean, you get a double y'all.
I've had one sip of this coffee. One.
So what does that mean after two? Is like, are you going to get
I'll
more y'all?
I will be so much better. Right now, it's not.
I had my one cup. The reason I don't do 2 cups is then I'll be like this, and anybody watching might need to get on, what's that, Dramamine, because they get motion sickness.
Look, Larry says, "Good morning, space cadets."
There you go.
Are we space cadets today?
Well,
I am.
Well, as long as we're not spacey cadets. There's a difference between a space cadet and a spacey cadet, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Sometimes Mondays can be a little spacey, but let's try to be space cadets.
Space cadets. Okay, so you have coffee though?
Oh, I just drank my coffee, so like I said, I drank my one, so now
You drank it already?
I'm back to Bubba.
Bubba.
I'm back to Bubba.
Is Bubba water?
No, Bubba. Okay, so here's my great woe in life, right? My great woe in life is that I have a hankering for Crystal Light sweet tea.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? I love the taste of their sweet tea. The problem is every time I go grocery shopping at Walmart, they're out. Right. So in my brilliance, I decide to order it from Amazon.
Oh,
right.
Right.
So they had this deal where I could get 10 containers, which each have 6 packets for $9. I'm like, wow, steal of a deal. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had to wait 2 weeks. It shows up on Friday and they have one container with 6 packets.
Oh.
I'm like, wait a minute. The deal said I get 10 packets, right? So like what? I'm paying $8 or $9 now for one.
Oh my gosh.
So I called Amazon and kind of let them have it and they refunded. So now my one packet of Crystal Light sweet tea was free.
Oh, well, that's good.
So I came out ahead, but I was still irritated.
So good morning, Michael. See what he's saying about you. That's what I call Bob.
Oh, Space Cadet? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Does he call you Space Cadet? Good morning, Beverly.
He calls me everything else, but.
Oh, really?
another.
Uh-oh.
Jab in his morning weekly jabs.
Yeah, he hasn't jabbed me lately, which is nice.
Poked you.
Are you a top fan, Michael? Where's the top fan badge? So
Mike's sort of like Muhammad Ali.
Okay, tell me how's that?
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Oh,
remember Ali?
Yes, I do. Yes.
So that's Mike. He's the verbal version of Muhammad Ali.
All right.
Floats around and then he's got those zingers that come in. He
keeps
me entertained.
So what was your weekend like? Mine was so cool. I had the most interesting weekend.
Well, then it's way more interesting. So let's talk about your weekend. My weekend was very domestic.
It was very well, yeah. Mine was.
So let's talk about yours. Yours sounds exciting.
Okay, there we go. The man with unquenchable thirst, Bubba. Okay.
That's true.
Larry, those diamonds come and go. I know they can't. Well, hey, I think it's y'all's fault. All y'all's fault. Anyway, I had an amazing weekend. I went to help a person's parents. They're in their 80s, and they're both the coolest people. And I miss having older people in my life for wisdom. Right? They were both physicians. They were both missionaries.
Ooh.
Yeah, they were over in China. Ooh. And then they were in Tanzania.
Oh, wow.
Tanzania for 2 years. And they loved Tanzania. apparently, and they wrote books about it. And the physician is so cool. He wrote a book about the sickly Stuarts of Scotland. He diagnosed each one with what they had, and then actually got it published. So, I had this weekend that was like, I spent a couple hours with them Saturday and Sunday. So, it was just this neat opportunity, this blessing, because, you can gain so much from other people's experiences. And so that's why it's really important, to talk to people, to get out of here.
When I was a little guy, I used to love hanging around with old men. And the reason was that I found old men to be fascinating because they had such cool stories, right?
They really do.
The thing about life is that you get older, you have so much more perspective. You've seen things cycle. You've seen a lot of stuff. So you have these, and they have these amazing stories, right? So a few years ago, a few of my colleagues and I were sitting around having coffee one morning, and I realized after 2 hours of swapping stories, we were the old men now. I was like, I just had this epiphany while we were sitting there going, oh my God, I'm one of them.
It's true.
I got lots of cool stories.
It's so true. It's true. So I made some new connections, new friends, and I mean, there's something to that. Get yourself out there and then
you're meeting, this medical couple. I mean, what makes them fascinating, of course, is when you realize that less than 5% of our population ever leaves the shore of America. We have a very American worldview. But when you get out of here and you go to places like they've been, right, to other countries, you see things in a more global, broader perspective, and it shifts, and you have what I call context, right? Your context expands. So that's fascinating.
Make you see that comment.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Fish get bigger, really crowds get larger, impact gets more.
You can. It's totally cool.
Well, it's like preachers. Literally thousands were there.
I know. And it was huge.
It was humongous.
Huge. That fish was that big.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
That's right.
Just like when you go in the ocean and one of those little fish, hit your leg, and you go back to tell everybody that you think a shark was gonna bite you.
Exactly. I saw a photo of a guy, it was either yesterday or the day before, with like a 700-pound halibut. Like, this thing was like enormous, and I'm thinking, here you are, you're out there and you're just on your little line and you're fishing. And then suddenly, I had that happen one time at the Lake of the Ozarks. I was at a pier. And I had my line and I was catching fish, a little fish like that. And suddenly, all of a sudden, my fishing pole just went like this. And then the line snapped. It happened so fast. And I'm like, oh my God, it was a shark. But then I realized it was fresh water. I realized the Lake of the Ozarks. So it's probably a catfish.
It was so not a shark, right?
It was so not a shark.
See what Michael's saying about us again? In the end, creating our own countries. You know what? That's not a bad idea.
Okay.
I mean, really. I'm okay.
If we're going to create our own country, what role do you want, Sandy?
What? Oh gosh.
Yeah. So
I can't be the ruler.
No, you can be whatever you want.
No, I'm just kidding.
We're going to call it Sandland after you.
I want to be the event. I want to be the party event coordinator.
Okay.
So
we have to have the minister. You could be minister of parties and social galas.
Yes. So somebody joined us. Bonsoir.
So Sandy, you can put on all the state events.
I can. I'm gonna have balls and
masquerade.
Yes. Oh my gosh, how fun is that?
I know, because our country is going to be rich in gold and diamonds, so we're going to have lots of wealth. So that means you can do extravagant feasts.
I don't want extravagant. I want simple.
Oh, well, you can't entertain heads of state and rulers from
Oh
around the
my
world. And
Let's see.
yeah.
Where's my scepter? Hold on.
Are they?
Let's create it. You know,
Yeah.
I have those fantasies about, you know, when I'm queen and stuff. Yeah.
That's right.
So there you go.
Exactly.
Not.
Hey, there's a reason why
everything that I'm
Cinderella.
going to talk about today, everything is about creating your purpose. You know, I wanted to talk about that today. You know, how do we set intentionally to create our purpose in a good for the good? You know, that's what we need. We need some visionaries to come out of all this, right? Which I think that it's happening, but you know, what part do you play in that? You know, what part am I going to play in that? You know, I want to be you know, to turn this all around and to create something positive. It has to have a clear vision and a clear intention, right? So that's what I'm working on this week.
How are you? Your purpose, your calling, your
so
destiny.
Michael, you're right. I'm going to get my own country first off. Exactly. Awakening the masses, right? Awakening the masses. Let's see. And I'm sorry, how do you say his name? Abdoulaye?
From Senegal.
I don't. Ah, nice.
All the way from Africa. French speaking.
French. Yes.
Speaking.
I was trying to learn French for a bit. Not sure why. Just always thought it's a pretty language. And but I learned German easier for some reason. I was able to understand German. What languages do you know, Bob?
I know Northern English, Southern English, Eastern English, and Western English.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I did take German in high school. Eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, zehn.
That's German. Yep.
Yeah. So I did learn a little about that. I also learned a little Hispanic. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve.
Yeah, okay.
That's about the extent of my international thing. This is where, even though I wrote a book that's warning about technology, there's a lot of really cool things. And one of the really neat little apps is a translator app, right? And you can have it on your phone. And so like when you're in these foreign countries, it's like they talk to your phone and then your phone tells you what they said. It's very cool.
Yeah, it is actually. It is.
Exactly. So
it kind of makes
that's a Starship Enterprise, remember? Because you have all these aliens.
Yeah, they would have that little machine. Yeah.
They had a little machine, and everybody has their little thing on there. And so they're hearing everyone they're speaking in their native language and hearing in each other's native language. So that's
so he's speaking to us in French and I don't know what he's saying.
I know.
Participant comprehend English.
See, we don't have our translator embedded into our software. See?
I kind of know what it means.
Okay, he's testing you.
Yeah, I know. Comprehends English, but I don't. And then a debate, obviously. But I don't know if that means a voter debate. What do you think about this mail-in ballot thing that's going on? Have you gotten these crazy?
I mean, if there's a place that everything under the sun can be turned into some sort of political debate, it's here, right? It's just like, it's amazing, Yeah, I guess, one of the things that really concerns me about the culture we're in, and I was trying to explain this to some people the other day, is that we're in a cultural civil war at the moment. And so what the hard thing about that, living in that environment, is everything is pitted against this versus that.
Right. It's not
it's polarized, right? It's not how do we
There's
take
no
this
good
and that
versus
and put
evil.
them together, right?
Right.
It's this versus that, and what's sad about it, and I want to be careful here, and because I'm not a conspiracy theorist person, but there are certain dynamics that history keeps repeating itself, and one of those is the elite, right? The people at the top love pitting the people at the bottom against each other.
That's
so
right.
and so there's an African
That's perfect for what Michael just said.
well, there's an African proverb that I love, which says, "When elephants fight, it's the grass which dies."
Yeah.
And right now we have elephants fighting, and the masses are down below, and they get trampled on. Right? They get, I mean, they just get used.
Well, I guess it depends on what you. If you allow that, if you're allowing to be trampled on, you don't have to allow that.
No, but I'm just saying that's what happens when the big guys go at it. It's the little guys, down below that end up having to deal with all the fallout of it. So, it's like, they get argued, so it was Washington. One of so for full disclosure. Full disclosure. I hate political parties. And I believe George Washington. I believe George Washington was very prophetic, because after 8 years of being president, he started noticing the whole political party system coming into our republic. And he warned about it. And this is what he said. He said, "I fear the good of the party will outweigh the good of the people." In other words, the need to preserve this little power center, right?
Yes.
So that's why I look at some of what's going on and I go, I
watched that documentary the other day, The First American.
Oh, really?
Did you tell me to watch that?
Mm-mm.
Well, I don't know why I thought that you had mentioned it, but
maybe I did. I don't remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's awesome. So it's called The First American. It's a documentary on George Washington. I didn't realize that he led the troops at 22. He was only 22. How young he was, before. I mean, he had so much experience by the time he was our first president. It was amazing. All the different things he had been through. I'll be honest. I mean, I only knew about his wooden teeth,
right? The cherry tree and all that.
Right. I really didn't know much about him, to be honest.
So here's why, in my view, he is a genuine hero. Not because he won a war. Here's why. At the end of his presidency, when they were at the inauguration of John Adams, all the newspaper reporters were standing around him, and they were asking him about his final comments of being the first president of the United States. And they were all focused on him being the first, and setting the the trend, as it were, of what it meant to be president. Right. And he looks him right in the face and he goes, "I don't think you understand the moment." He said, "What makes the moment important is that I am no longer the president."
Right.
So the reason why this is such a pivotal point is never in the history of the world had a leader of a nation actually step down and give an authority over to someone else that wasn't in their family.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it's really a profound moment. And here's what even makes it more profound. There were whole groups of people that were trying to convince him to stay on, including the military.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a choice and go, "No, if democracy isn't going to work, I have to step down."
Yes.
And it set the trend for the next 250 years. So that's why I think he's here on my book for that moment.
Right. So if you guys can check out, The First American, it was great.
Cool. And where did you watch this?
It was on
Netflix or Amazon?
It was on Amazon.
Okay.
It could have been Netflix. one or the other, because I have
Right.
them
So
together.
you tease everyone, and now you don't know where to send them.
I will send them. Oh my goodness. Oh my
Great.
goodness. But what's really cool is, I mean, there's just so much that we can learn. I think I was telling you last week, I'm getting ready to teach some classes about the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and those kinds of things. I'm kind of nerdy that way. Who knew?
Oh, it's a great study because that stuff isn't taught anymore in school.
It isn't. That's why.
And it's sad in a way because we're so detached.
Yes.
From a knowledge point of view of really what the foundation of the country was, the struggles, the battles. Mike Jones and I, one of our favorite shows was John Adams, which was a mini series that was on HBO. I mean, yeah, it's a really good, I think 7 or 10 part series.
Right.
And it takes you through it. The reason I like it is because it's raw and real. It brings their marriage struggles, their family struggles. I mean, he's got kids that are drunks and struggling with their dads, and I mean, these are all very real stories about human beings that ended up influencing millions of people, but they're all human.
I thought that Michael was saying something really good, and then he had to end it with something like be here.
No,
he's still here.
George Washington, I mean, he willed us into where we are, Yeah, when I lived in Virginia, of course, which is full of history. And I was very fortunate, lived, right below Williamsburg, Jamestown, and then went to Charlottesville all the time. So Charlottesville, is so amazing. It's where Monticello is, or Cello, whichever one you want to say, and Montpelier, which is James Madison's estate. And you can do tours and that kind of thing. And then of course I was right there next to DC. I mean, come on, DC. And that was great. The Smithsonian's are amazing. One of the things about our founding that I think
area
is so critical to understand is, and I believe this is a biblical concept. This is what Jesus tried to teach, which was diversity in harmony. What you have to understand is that in the beginning, 2 of the major drivers of our nation were John Adams and Thomas Jefferson.
Right.
They were as polar opposites as could possibly be, right? John Adams was your anal lawyer, systems, justice, everything, Jefferson was influenced by the French Enlightenment, was, everything about freedom. And, I mean? It's like, so one was in the box and one was outside the box. And they were actually really good friends.
Yes.
Complete opposites.
Yes.
Then as the political system started to develop, they ended up becoming, they lost their friendship. Right. They ended up becoming opposing to each other because they had 2 very different views of where things were supposed to go. It was my ancestor, Dr. Benjamin Rush, who later in life brought the 2 friends back together. And they spent the last 20 years of their life writing these really precious letters to each other because they got perspective, right? They realized that even though they had different views of things, that they shared a common goal, right?
Right.
And I wish people would learn from these lessons, because we're in one of those moments now where there's groups of people trying to polarize us against each other, right? They're trying to create conflict, right? They're trying to
and they're succeeding.
Wedges between
they're succeeding, because I mean, I'm having, friendship issues and all of that, too, over mask, not mask.
But people have to realize,
how many people have you been around, not been around? It has strained relationships. I can't even believe it. Like, I sit back.
I wish people would wake up and realize this is a strategy. Like, this isn't just happening by chance.
Right.
It is a literal political strategy that people work on to, there's a reason why they call things wedge issues.
Right.
It's purposely to drive a wedge. That's what they do. That's what politics does. They drive wedges between relationships. That's the strategy. And so this is where you were talking about earlier. You know, we sort of got to wake up and realize, hey, I'm not going to get played. I'm not gonna succumb, you know, to this system right now.
Right.
Where a few people at the top are all fighting over this, you know, the rest of us.
Right.
And we have to value our friendships and our relationships and hang on to those things, because there's a whole group of people that are trying to separate us.
That's right. That's right. And
that's your value system again, right?
Yeah, they're succeeding. It's
being right or being in a relationship.
That's right. That's correct. That's it. Mugs up on that.
So that's I mean, that's a value system again, right?
It is.
Relationships over rightness.
You don't even know if you're right.
Well, and no, but that's a good point, because I was actually laying in bed this morning
and you're going off of a fact. So it's an opinion going off of a fact that you are reading in from a document of some sort. But where's that source of fact coming from? So how do you know you're right?
So that's why I try
to
shift from and say, this is my perspective. What is your perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because what tends to happen is we find ourselves being pitted into this right wrong. Because here's the reality. Think about this. If I'm right and you have a different perspective, what does that make you? Wrong.
Well, look at what Michael just said, of course.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Ego. No, but you see how this happens? Like when we come into a situation, in other words, if your posture in communicating with others is that I am right, and they have a different perspective, you've put them into the wrong category already. Like you've already labeled them. Yes. And you actually created conflict already, because now you've put them in a position where they got to defend their wrongness to make it right. So we actually create conflict, and it's like, no, stop it. Like, we got to be smarter than this. Don't play the game.
Yes. In that saying, let's agree to disagree.
Or look at
when it gets heated and say, let's agree to disagree. And I value my friends that show me the facts of their stance. I value that. I think
here's what happens all the time.
They don't have to convince me, but I can be convinced if I am giving enough information to still make another
but still, even in that, we tend to think in absolutes. The problem is that sometimes things are right in this situation and wrong. See, it's way more nuanced. And one of the things that's very dangerous about social media is because we have these little short spaces to make comments, right? Which leaves us totally vulnerable, because there's a whole lot we're not saying that would actually create more context, right?
Yeah,
so one of the things that I'm constantly doing in my mind is when somebody shares something from a different perspective, I don't jump immediately into, oh, they're wrong. I look at it and then go, okay, how does this fit with this?
I totally agree with you.
Right?
I totally agree.
Why. So this is philosophical, right? But we think linearly, right? So if you think linear, I mean in a line, that means there's right and there's wrong, right? And somewhere in the right. But God lives in eternity. He lives in 360 degrees.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right? There's a scripture that Paul, when he was writing to the church in Ephesus, he called it the manifold wisdom of God, which is the many-faceted, many-colored.
Yeah.
Right. And here we are. We live in this world. It's black versus white. And they're like, really?
Exactly.
It's not.
Even Michael's trying to make it right now.
Exactly. He's playing the game. He's politicizing it, right?
You know,
He's terrible.
I know. Well, that's why getting on your social media account, it's never good to put anything controversial out there because.
Oh, so did you see mine from Saturday?
Oh yeah,
It was so fascinating because it was sort of tongue in cheek, and that was a genuine question because I'm like driving around town doing deliveries, and I noticed it a couple times that there were people in their cars wearing their face masks by themselves, and I was like, "Huh, that's weird." And of course, part of it's my personality. I walk out of the store, I rip that thing off my face. It's like I'm a nature guy. Like I just don't like stuff covering my face. I also don't like the fact that I'm interacting with all these humans that I can't see their mouths. Your mouth, I realized after everybody wearing a face mask, I read mouths easier than I read eyes. So I'm really having a hard time trying to figure out what people are actually really. Is that a joke? Is that serious? Tongue in cheek, right? And so I'm like lost. And so I'm like, rip the face mask off, right? So then there's that, and then there's just this like, what? So, anyways, I decided to ask the question to see what it, and it was funny because there were like people that wanted to argue.
Yeah, well, you saw,
and you're like, it's
my comment. I mean, when I was Uber driving with the mask on, it was quick. You know, I just left it on until I got the next person, just so I didn't have to touch it. Like, I didn't have to over touch it and over.
There was a few people that said that. I went, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. If you're doing a lot of quick stops.
I over touch it. Now it's on my hands. And so then I'm going to inhale off my hands. I want to go further in the virology of that.
Yeah, but then we were all told it can't be transmitted by touch. It has to come through the air, right?
Yeah, but if I'm touching my mask,
it
came through the air, and now the mask is got it in it, and I touch it.
Wash your mask?
I touched it.
Do you wash
in between the Uber driver? Uber drops.
Do you get a little spray and spray your mask?
Why would I spray it? Oh my god!
Kill all the bugs.
Oh my gosh!
You know.
So,
well, the funniest ones I thought were the comments like people said, yeah, they're afraid to give it to themselves. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, I wear a mask in my car all by myself because I don't want to infect myself.
I'm having an issue with wearing it only because of my breathing. I have a deviated septum. So I really
am.
A deviated septum.
Oh, a deviated septum. I want to clarify that.
So it's like when I breathe in it after a while, it does make me lightheaded. Oh, they say that doesn't happen. I'm like, well, you're not me. So I'm just saying, since you're not me, and you don't know. I mean, I know. I mean, I have to take it off and like, like get some oxygen in there. So,
well, I just am a nature guy. It's just like, give me the sun on my face and the mountains of the ocean and let me breathe.
That's right.
Like, to me, I got to breathe, and there's this barrier between me and nature, and I don't like it. So I wear it out of respect for everyone else when I'm with people. But man, the minute I leave the grocery store, I mean, I'm in the park. That thing's off.
Yeah. It's like
ridiculous because sometimes it's hanging on my ear because I don't want to. So I have it hanging down the side of my face, pushing my cart because I really don't want to take it off and stick it in my pocket. So.
Oh my gosh, it's and I saw somebody post today. Do you need to wear a mask if you're in alone in the grocery store alone? Do you have to wear it then?
Yeah. Well, the craziest ones is you go into the restaurants, right? So like I was in Chipotle the other day, right? And they yell at you if you come in not wearing a mask, right?
Quiet. You were quiet sneaking in here today.
So I go to Chipotle, right? And they yell at you if you wear a mask, if you're not wearing a mask. Like the ladies behind at Chipotle. They yell at you, like the lady over at 75th and Warnell. They yell at, like if you walk in the door, they yell at you to go back out without your mask, right? But the people that are yelling got their mask down so that their nose is exposed. And I'm like, okay, explain that one to me, right?
I don't understand that at all.
Right, because it's hot and they're trying to serve food and they can't breathe, right? So they pull their mask down until it just covers their mouth. So they're like half obey. So then you see my picture I posted?
Yes.
Isn't that hilarious? Right?
Yeah. You can't say it without showing it. Where is it?
Oh, it's on my Facebook page. No, but it was so funny because to me it was such a, word pictures. I love photos because of word pictures, right? So here we are. We all know what the distances are, but then there's a whole group of people that think that they need to tell us to help us. So it's a picture in a park where they put down the little square boxes and they're talking about how everybody's practicing social distancing. But then in the picture, everybody's either on the edge of the line or outside the line. And I'm going, that's so human nature, right?
We're rebels with a cause.
Right? It's like,
rebels with a cause.
I'm just proving my independence here because I'm going to push the envelope
exactly.
right, or I'm going to have half my body outside the line just to let you know.
Of the boxes. I mean, really?
In the public park, I know.
In a public park. No way.
I know.
You ain't putting baby in the corner.
It's just fascinating, right? It's two different worldviews that are colliding. One, it's like, hey, leave me alone. I'm an adult. I know what 6 feet is, right? There's another group of people that go, no, we have to tell you what 6 feet is, and here's the rules.
I really don't know what 6 feet is. I really have had to go, okay, how many foot
do I need to buy you a tape measure? That
I actually counted it the other day, like from one little circle on the floor to the next to see how many steps it took me.
Well, I was thinking I think
5 for me.
The government should give us all little belts with 6 foot long, things sticking out. You know what I mean? Like those skirts that the ladies used to wear with those big hoops underneath.
Yeah. Exactly.
We all get 6 foot circumference, and then that way we'll all know. You see what I mean? Because we're all dumb enough. We're so dumb we don't know. So
I agree with Jeff. You hurry up to get the mask off. I hurry up to the. Come on. You want. Anyway, I'm not even there. I mean, seriously, people. Sorry, it's getting on my nerves.
Well, that's but then remember. But remember, people are just different, right? So one of the collisions that's going on right now, right, is a worldview collision, and you have one group of people who are like, well, here. Let me use a word picture. It's a different. I don't know if I've already used this, but it's the difference between a ranch and a maze.
Yes, you did.
Right. So there's a whole group of us out there that are ranch people, right? Give us a boundary, like, okay, way out there boundary that if we do this, but inside, leave me alone. There's another whole group of people that want every step of their life ordered, and you know what I mean, because they're fear driven, right? So they live in a constant state of I need this system to protect me.
Yeah.
There's another group of people that go, no, the system is oppressive. So it's two completely different ways of looking at the same thing, right? One person looks at it as security. The other person looks at it as oppression.
Agreed. I'm not even gonna say what camp I'm in, which I think.
Well, no, you don't have to. But I'm just saying you have to recognize that it's just people think different. We're wired differently. There's just a different, right? So
it is.
So we just got to give people grace. What I do is just like, okay,
Yeah. So
what you need, go for
it. Don't tell me what to do and you'll be okay. Oh. And Kim says, that's called prison. Keep me on the ranch. Exactly. I mean, it's true. I
would say most of the people in our group are ranch people.
I think they're ranch people.
Yeah, I think we attract.
Jeff said he's a ranch person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other
He's
words,
in both
tell
camps.
me the real extreme. Like if I do this, I'm gonna, I'm gonna.
Look at Michael said I'm in both camps. He's right though.
Well, that's because Mike's schizophrenic.
He's right, especially about the drinking wine.
Yeah.
In the both camps.
Eat, drink, and be merry.
Yeah. Or just drink the wine and be merry. How about that?
But I mean, so the thing is, we just have to be gracious, with people, because there's a whole group of people that really struggle with a spirit of fear. They're paranoid. They are fearful, and so what happens? What do we all do when we're scared? We want to control.
Well, and that's human nature, right? You want to control your environment, and that is why
others.
That is why this whole time, if it's going to make somebody else uncomfortable, I'm going to do what they need to be comfortable. I'm not going to be that much of a rebel and go, no, it's my rights, the kind of thing. Because really wearing a mask, I mean, does that hurt me? Not really. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, if that's going to make somebody else feel better temporarily. Now, if
we got to get a little more original though with our masks.
If it's going to be mandated and I have to wear it going outside on a bike ride, I'm sorry. Now that's when Sandy becomes a rebel. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that.
There's Sandy outside the line at the park.
Yeah, do not. So, hey, question: have you ever read this book?
No, but I know who Wayne is.
You know Wayne? This is a great book. It was my grandmother's, and she, and it's such a good book. So it's, inspiration for your ultimate calling. And he talks about a lot of things that we talk about, of course, in here. Of course, that this was written quite a bit ago, but that we that's what we need right now. We just need inspiration. We need fresh, positive energy through all of this, and that's what we're here to do. Okay, you have brought so much to the table on this, Bob, as far as knowledge base. I can sit here and go, oh, let's be in a Pollyanna positive world, but we do have to have reality. We do have to have facts, and we do have to have some platform of concept and context, right? So I mean, I think
what happens is if you, because you see this, I mean, I've seen a lot of this in the church world where where people you'll go to a meeting and they get all inspired, right?
Yeah.
But nothing ever real tangible. They don't walk out with anything real tangible about how to actually change anything. And what ends up happening is up to a point, people get inspired and then they start getting disillusioned because it's like, well, wait a minute. I feel really good.
Yeah.
But how does this actually work? How do I actually do this stuff? And so I think that's where, for me, as we've talked about before, I start, when I'm kind of disoriented, I just go back to the basics, right? So I got to start somewhere. So where do I start? So I ask myself, okay, what's my purpose? Like as a human being, why did God create me? Right.
That's what I want this week's theme to be, our purpose.
Well, so we go back and again, one of the interesting little verses that kind of sneaks up on you is Romans 8:28. Again, Paul's writing to these Christian, that are in Rome, and and he's kind of giving this master thesis on theology and what it all means and all that. And he says this interesting statement. He says, we were predestined, meaning pre-planned, right? It was pre-planned by God the Father that we should be conformed to the image of his son.
Right.
Okay, well, wait a minute. So that means that my purpose was to, between the beginning of my life and the end of my life, to take on the characteristics, the qualities, the values, the morals, and the ethics of Jesus. So that I can be a light. I can be salt, right? I can,
But what else?
Right?
Right. I mean, he wants us to do this. Why?
So what I'm just saying, that's the
Right.
basics. That to me is
Right.
the foundation. If you realize you have a destiny, right? That
Yeah.
you were created for a very specific purpose, and it even gives us a model saying this is what it looks like.
Right. Right.
So then the question is, well, maybe I need to study and learn a little bit more about who this person is that I'm supposed to be like.
Right.
Right. So
And,
now you have
and
motivation to research.
right. Because that's where I mean, you have to have a belief in it first. So not only, I mean, maybe that's a purpose and that's a goal, but you have to have that belief.
Well, then what happens once you tap into the root, right? Because
Mhm.
that's the root, right? Once you connect with the root, then what ends up happening is you end up in the process on the journey discovering really specific purposes.
Yeah.
Right? Because so while we all have a general calling, destiny,
Mm-hmm.
set thing that we're supposed to be like Jesus, we're each unique. And for each of us, there is a unique purpose, but you don't actually know what that purpose is until you connect to the root. Otherwise, you're like a satellite that's just floating through space, and every new thing under the sun is it, right?
Yes. Yes. And it's so hard to counsel someone who keeps asking you what you think their purpose is.
Right.
So there is the problem, is it's like, I can't tell you what your purpose is. I know what my purpose is, but I can't tell you what your purpose is.
You know why?
You have to seek that out yourself. So,
you know, I refuse to tell people that they answer that question, because they'll be asking me the same question the rest of their life.
Right. That's
In other words, if I have to tell you who you are, then I'm going to have to keep telling you who you are.
That's right. So that was the most difficult. You know, I'm trying to figure out what my purpose is. Well, there's many things that you can do to figure that out. I mean, your personality is your first clue. Your personality is your first clue. Right. What makes you excited in the day? What wakes you up in the morning and says, yay, I get to go do ABC? You know, what is it that excites you? Anything that energizes you and excites you is usually tied to something that's purpose driven, right? So,
well, and then we get caught up in the trap sometimes of these big things. You know, what's my purpose? And we're like looking at these huge, and I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, it's, you know, I can't tell you how many times in my life I thought I was going down a road, like this is where God's taking me, and I extrapolated out, right? I got the first few breadcrumbs, and then my brain kicks in, and I start extrapolating all this stuff out,
other stuff,
and end up completely on the other side of the thing.
Yeah,
you know, 4 or 5 years later, going, wait a minute, you know.
Well,
so I to use that line from What About Bob?
Yeah, what about
baby
Bob?
steps.
Baby steps, right? And just think about how many people think that their energy and their excitement is to gain material things. You know, that person that's saved up for, you know, or not even saved up. Not, you don't have to save up for anything anymore. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But you just, you know, throw your credit out there. But before, you used to have to save up for things and to gain it, and you felt really accomplished. But once you got it, then you were let down, because you're like, okay, now you got it, but okay, you know, now what? So,
I think a lot of
materialism, materialistic things, you know, if that's what's exciting you, you got to figure out what's behind that, you know. But going after a goal, going after a character, after a behavior, after a to gain wisdom is totally different than that. You know, that there's so much more that you get out of that. I think that's just.
Well, how about we focus on impacting the people in our direct circles versus thinking we're going to impact the. You see what I mean?
I like what Michelle said.
Sometimes we get so focused on the horizon we miss like what's right in front of us.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is one of my, I mean, I appreciate goals, you know, and I know, you know, that we're all, career goal and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes we're so busy looking at the horizon, we trip over the things that are right in front of us.
Right.
Because our eyes are way over there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think and in doing that, sometimes we just, it's not we intentionally destroy relationships, but we end up destroying them because we don't feed them, right? Because they're a means to something else. We don't focus on it.
So Jeff is saying, can your purpose change in life? Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely, it can. We go through, I feel like our purpose, I don't think it's black and white, one or two things. I think it's season based. I think it's experience and season based, your purpose. The more you gain wisdom with and through a season can change your purpose going forward and how you're going to share that information, right? So what you've gained, I believe that people that gain wisdom have to share it. That's just my opinion. Like I was telling you at the beginning of the show, these people that I was talking to this weekend, these older people, I gained so much from them. And just in that little period of time to where I'm just like, wow,
So again, in full confession, one of my favorite biblical books is that nobody likes to read.
Job.
Ecclesiastes.
Oh, you know
why?
You know what? You're gonna
exactly
laugh.
What you're talking about, right?
It's
an old guy.
That down, Ecclesiastes. I was just going to talk about that. In every season, turn.
But it's a perspective book, right?
It is.
Because it's an old guy who did exactly what you just said, spent his whole life focusing on status and stuff, right? He thought his goal in life was to be a big shot with lots of money. And at the end of it all, he's looking back going, wait a minute. I think I missed it here somewhere along the way.
Right.
I think Ecclesiastes is a book filled of wisdom, but it's a hard slap in the face. And that's why people don't want to read it, because it challenges a lot of their assumptions about what their purpose is.
Ask people if they've read the whole book of Ecclesiastes. They've only read the first part.
Well, it was the Birds, who did the song Turn.
Turn. Yeah.
Everybody's like, there's a time,
That's the happy part.
Right. Well, here's one of the eye openers is in Ecclesiastes, because this is the downside of seeking wisdom. There's a lot of pain that comes with it.
Uh-oh. Mike's got a paragraph. We got to read it.
Uh-oh.
It's a serious one, though.
Andre, we all gone silent as we're reading Mikey's words here. Yeah, no, he's right.
So now we're talking about the Birds. Now we're talking about Carole King and Tapestry. I don't know. I think we're going in the 70s.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, if you think about those older songs in the 70s, they truly do have a lot of wisdom in them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about the lyrics in a lot of those songs, they took it from.
Yeah, Bob Dylan could have been Amos the prophet. I mean, almost all of his songs are written, just from the same social.
Oh, good. Yeah. So he became a Christian because of Ecclesiastes. I think that's kind of.
Well, it's me. It's a hard book to read because it sort of slaps you in the face a little bit and challenges some of the assumptions that even we as Americans have, about what it means, because there's a certain thing called the American dream, right? Yeah. And so I've spent a lot of time dealing with people that got the American dream and went, why am I so empty?
Right.
I've been with athletes who've won Super Bowls and won World Series, and 3 months later, they're totally depressed, going, how is it that I achieved my life's goal, right? My purpose, and I'm depressed.
Heather doesn't even know who we're talking about. Y'all are old.
Wait, she's yawling.
She goes, who are the Birds?
And see, now what's bad, she didn't even spell it right.
Heather, you better
Heather,
know Carole King.
why
I
are
say. You can't be a friend if you don't know Carole King. Come on.
Oh no, she's talking about the Birds.
I know, but she I don't even know she knows who Carole King is.
Oh my God. Are we that old?
We're getting old.
Oh
I
my.
refuse. I refuse.
Yeah, Carole King Tapestry still like one of the top 10 all time.
She's heard of her. Okay, good.
Yeah, the Birds.
I'm glad to know that.
Yeah, the Birds.
Carole King is a total woman's album, the Tapestry. Exactly. Oh my goodness.
How about it? There's Chick Flicks. That's a chick album.
Okay, now I'm singing
it. Helen Reddy. Remember Helen Reddy? I am woman. Here we roll.
Oh, I love Helen Reddy.
Exactly.
You know, yeah, I know.
Those are the sisters that sort of, you know.
My very first favorite song was "These Boots Are Made for Walking."
Oh, Nancy Sinatra.
So I was like, I mean, you know, so that's where I learned all my women values.
Okay, from Nancy. in her little mini skirt with her high white boots doing the go-go.
Look at Michael says she only knows the bees.
The bees.
She says, I don't like bees.
Are you talking about the bees?
The Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees?
Oh, they were my favorites.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, because I was in that Saturday Night Fever.
Oh my gosh, what an album, man. And the
movie.
That
was so great.
Oh, the movie.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're going to the 70s. What's happening?
And part of the reason for that, of course, and you hear this a lot from the millennial kids that actually go back and listen, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is really good." You know what I mean? And the diversity. It's like music today is like, so everything sounds the same. You know, it's just like, and it's, you know, it's like, what are you saying? You know, where back in those days, you know, and it was all new and fresh, and you know, within the first few bars of any song, you knew exactly who the group was because they had a sound, right?
Exactly.
The group had a unique sound.
Well, Saturday Night
Fever, for those that don't know the Birds, it's Roger McGuire and his 12-string, who predated what's his face from Phoenix.
Good morning, Vincent.
Who started the 12-string, you know, but the 12-string guitar.
Oh God. Oh, not the surfer guy. Dick. No. I should know that. Yeah. Why is she a top fan if she doesn't know the 70s? She needs to lose the status.
So is that we have to put that in our requirements? Top fans have to know 70s music. Well, to be fair, the Birds were actually 60s.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the Birds were
60s.
Yeah.
Roger McGuinn, man. Roger McGuinn was the pioneer of the 12-string.
I mean, I only know that stuff because my mom had records that I played over.
Well, in Kansas, you know, they did one based on Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
You know, blowing in the wind or something.
Dust in the wind.
Yeah, dust in the wind. There you go. Blowing in the wind. That's Dylan. There's too many in the winds.
Kansas is one of my favorite bands. So
Homegirl.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't grow up here. So yeah.
No.
Yeah. See, she wasn't even born in the 60s. She's a baby. Oh,
Heather.
She's the baby. She's the baby of the bunch.
Okay.
You remember that song too? Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight.
I know. Well, it's interesting because on my iPod, I have my playlist by decades, you know, and it's so interesting because you go back to the 60s and music is just fun, you know, lighthearted, you know, Lovin' Spoonful, Going to the City, you know, all these, you know, songs, right? They're just fun. They're about love and relationships and having a good time. And, you know, that's just, you can, and the music is light, right?
Yeah.
And then as you get further and further in the 70s and the country's got Vietnam and all these protests, everything gets more serious. And you see Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and they're writing political songs.
Right.
And it gets more and more serious, you know?
Yeah. That's when it changed.
Yeah.
It sure did.
but you can see a real distinct comparison between the decades and just in the music, because music is like a reflection of the times, you know.
Yeah. My mom.
Artists are like our mirrors, right? They mirror us.
Ooh, there she goes, muskrat. Now, see, okay, she gets cred because she likes muskrat love. You know, Muskrat love, Captain Antonio.
Oh, that one. Oh yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Jackson's ABC. The other problem is sometimes when you go back and listen to the lyrics, you go,
you
didn't really say anything. It was all the beat, you know.
Bob has an iPod. You have an iPod?
I have an iPod. It's in my truck.
I used to have an old cassette player. I took this bus ride one time from St. Louis to Florida, and luckily I had a cassette player. And all my tapes, I had a little, you took your tapes with you.
So let me ask you a question. Did you ever have an 8-track?
I did, actually.
Oh, so now you're older than I thought.
The only one I had in it was Funky Town. That was the only song I had that was an 8-track, Funky Town.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I take that back. I had a Star Wars soundtrack too.
Okay.
I know. I was kind of diverse even then.
So huge, man.
Sonny and Cher, yeah.
I
love all that. Now I'm gonna have to go listen to 70s music today. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Yeah, but it depends on if you want to get, be happy.
I had a Walkman. I had a Walkman.
Right? 1960s, California.
I had a Walkman. That's what I had.
Love and Spoonful, Jefferson Airplane. What was the other one? The Mamas and the Papas.
Yeah.
Don Sebastian, Love and Spoonful. I mean, it's just the songs are just so fun. You know what I mean?
Red, America.
Yeah. So then I gotta confess, I do have another little secret love.
Oh no.
Which is R&B Motown.
Me
the
too.
whole Motown. Oh man, sometimes you just.
Oh yeah.
I'm in my truck and driving along. I gotta put on a little, little Motown. Get a little groove going. Temptations. There you go. Right.
Heather doesn't like my song. I made her listen to the song "Hair" one time.
Oh well, that's a bit hippie-ish.
America sang Oh, did America sing Muskrat Love too? I didn't know that, Donna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Motown.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, gosh, you can't help but not sit still when Motown comes on.
Supremes. Oh yeah, Diana Ross and Supremes. They were my favorite.
Oh, it's hilarious. Like when Abby was here, she'd be cleaning the house, and I have my iTunes on my computer, and I would crank up Motown, and suddenly there she's. It's like the little house cleaner is dancing across the floor. It's just
My mom used to do that every Saturday. She'd turn on the music, and we'd have to clean the house.
Back in those days, we had Bandstand and Soul Train.
Yes. Oh, here we forgot Temptations. Yep, Commodores, Temptations. See, where'd we go with all this? Well, we just transported back to the 70s all of a sudden. What happened?
I mean, honestly, even the millennial kids will say that was good music.
Yeah.
Like we've lost good music. So, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. Did you know that 2 or 3? I remember this vividly because I followed the music thing, that the old music outsold all the new music. Like music that was 40 years old was selling more music than the new stuff.
Well, a couple when I went over to Wales and England, the people that we were staying with, the only thing the kids wanted that year was a turntable and old records. That's all they wanted. She said, I can't believe it. My kids, they just want the turntable and records. Yeah. And she's like, you know how much they cost right now? $20 per record.
Vinyl.
Yeah, the vinyl is like
there's depth. I mean, if you have an ear, the average person probably wouldn't know that much difference. But vinyl gives you depth. What digital does is takes out a lot of stuff that supposedly your ear can't hear. and reduces it down. But you know, if you really want depth of sound, if you're a wonk when it comes to
Under the Boardwalk, I like that one.
So.
Wait, we're past our time.
Oh, so do we get fined? Do we get a speeding ticket if we went 5 minutes over?
We went 5 minutes over, people. We're sorry. You guys are just, once we started talking about music, man, they just blew up. Now we know. Okay.
Now we got to do some Soul Train or something on the way out the door.
I know, man. Now I'm going to have to go find something. Hold on. I'm going to have to. You make me. I mean, I'm going to have to now. Like, what should I play? What do you think?
What's fun?
I don't know.
Staying Alive. That's kind of appropriate right now.
Well, here.
My wicked sense of humor.
That's a good idea, Staying Alive. All right, hold on. Staying Alive. And let's see. All right, hold on. Let me. Oh, hold on. Let me. Hold on. I'll have to. You'll have to. It's a technical thing. So let's see if we can do it. Share screen. I hope it works because you know sometimes this thing is crazy.
Stay alive.
Yeah, are y'all gonna stay alive?
And tune in on Thursday night because we're going to have a really fascinating guest.
Yes, we are.
Join us Monday mornings at 8:45 a.m. and Thursdays 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. See you then.